The ocean was no longer just vast, it felt alive. And each day, as the Santa Maria pushed deeper into the unknown, the Atlantic tightened its grip on the minds of the crew. There were no violent storms, no monstrous waves, no dramatic disasters. Instead, the sea attacked with something far more efficient. Silence, time, distance, emptiness. Slowly, it drained the courage of the men. It began one morning with an unsettling sight. From horizon to horizon, the ocean was covered with floating masses of tangled plants, the Sargasso Sea, to modern science, harmless algae. To the sailors of 1492, a nightmare. This is a dead sea. Ships get trapped here forever. As the Santa Maria sliced through the drifting weeds, the algae brushed and scraped the hull, producing soft, eerie sounds. It felt as if something beneath the water ran its fingers along the ship. Columbus tried to calm them. Where there are plants, land cannot be far. But even he wasn't certain. The ocean began presenting strange contradictions. Some days brought hope, birds flying low, small branches floating, bits of green vegetation drifting past. Other days brought terror, flashes of light under the water, strange shapes in the waves, currents that shifted without warning, deep groans from beneath the hull. Today we know the lights were bioluminescent organisms. To the crew, they were supernatural. One sailor whispered, "The sea is watching us." Nobody laughed. The tension that had been slowly growing finally gained a voice. At the bow, away from the officers, a group of sailors gathered. "If we turn back now, we reach Spain alive," Columbus lied. "There is no land ahead. We'll die of thirst." These were no longer complaints. These were seeds of rebellion. Martin Alonso Pinzon acted quickly. He didn't threaten them. He reasoned with them. "If there was danger, I wouldn't be here with you." For a while, that was enough to calm them. But the rebellion had begun to form. One night, the crew heard a sound that froze every man on deck. A long, low rumble from far beneath the ship, vibrating through the hull. A boy burst into tears. A sailor fell to his knees. Others muttered, "A sea monster, a guardian of the West, a warning from the abyss." Modern science suggests seismic shifts or large whales, but the men of 1492 believed the ocean had a voice, and that it had spoken. No one slept that night. The darkness in the deep Atlantic was absolute. No villages, no passing ships, no coastline lights, just a black void from wave to wave. Without a moon, the sea and sky blended into one endless shadow. Lookouts could barely tell where the ocean ended and the heavens began. And in that darkness, the mind created its own horrors. Sailors swore they saw figures in the water shadows following the ship, faint glows beneath the waves, shapes moving just under the surface. Reality blurred. Fear sharpened. Columbus continued to write two logs, one for the crew.com and Optimistic, and one for himself, where he wrote what he truly feared. In a private entry he wrote, "The men are beginning to fear not the sea, but the infinite." That line alone captures the psychological collapse happening aboard the Santa Maria. Letters. They weren't afraid of drowning. They were afraid of never finding anything at all. Then the compass drifted again, a small shift, just a few degrees. But to the sailors, it was a catastrophe. The sky is wrong. We are leaving God's world. The ocean twists the compass. Columbus improvised a lie that saved the voyage. The stars move at night. The compass only seems to change. It wasn't true. But it kept the men from breaking. Currents began pushing the ship sideways. Waves came from odd directions. The wind shifted abruptly. Sailors whispered, "We are sailing in circles. The world ends somewhere ahead. The ocean wants us lost." Rumors spread faster than commands. Food was rationed. Water became sacred. One sailor murmured, "A man may starve slowly, but thirst kills quickly." The sentence spread like fire. The crew began to eye the barrels with suspicion, as if the water might vanish at any moment. And then, after weeks depleting their hope, the ocean shifted once more. The waves softened. The wind warmed. Birds circled overhead. Strange branches drifted nearby, thicker and fresher than before. A rumor swept the ship. "Look, something out there. The horizon is darker." Some dismissed it. Others stared with disbelief. But for the first time in many days, someone whispered, maybe the ocean is finally giving way." The Santa Maria continued forward. The air changed. The crew leaned on the rail, searching. Hope, faint, fragile, almost forgotten, began to return. But the hardest moment of the voyage was still ahead. The Santa Maria pressed forward, cutting through a world that no longer felt like water, but like an endless void. The men had stopped joking, stopped singing. Even breathing felt heavier. Hope was thinning, like a rope being stretched to breaking point. For the crew, the Atlantic was no longer a route. It was a prison. It happened just before dawn. A lookout from the mast shouted, "Lights, lights in the sky." Men scrambled across the deck. Above them, faint blue sparks flickered and danced at the tips of the mast and rigging. Today, we know this phenomenon as St. Elmo's fire, atmospheric electricity. To the sailors of 1492, it was supernatural. One whispered, "These are the souls of those who drowned in this sea." Another trembled, "They are warning us." Fear spread quickly. Some crossed themselves again and again. Others simply stared, wide-eyed. Columbus rushed forward, raising his voice above the chaos. "Men, this is a sign of protection. The heavens are guiding us, a lie, but a necessary one. Slowly, fear loosened its grip. Still, many kept watching the sky until sunrise, afraid the lights might return with a different message. A few days later, something else disturbed the crew. It was midday, the sea calm, the ship silent. Then a deep pulsing moan resonated through the hull. Long, muffled, unmistakably alive. The deck froze. Some men stepped back from the railing. A cabin boy began crying. Others muttered prayers. One sailor insisted, "Something follows us beneath the water." Another said, "It is the voice of the abyss." Modern interpretations suggest tectonic shifts or large marine creatures. But to the sailors, already stretched thin, the sound was proof that they had entered a forbidden part of the world. Even Juan de la Cosa, normally unshakable, looked unsettled. Heat punished the ship relentlessly. The relentless sun turned the deck into an oven. The tar softened, the hull radiated heat, and the men, dehydrated, exhausted, sleep-deprived, began to unravel. Tomas de Leon, a sailor respected among his peers, suddenly broke down. He shouted that the sea was breathing, that it was inhaling the ship and getting ready to swallow it whole. He ran toward the rail, trying to leap into the water, screaming, "It wants me. I hear it calling me." 3 men tackled him before he reached the edge. After that incident, no one slept comfortably. They began to wonder who would break next. The idea of turning back was no longer a whisper. It was spoken openly. One man said, "If we don't turn back now, we never will." Another replied, "He lied. Columbus lied to all of us." The conversations grew bolder. "We'll die of thirst. There's no land ahead. The compass betrays us. The sea has no end." Columbus knew. Pinzon knew. De la Cosa knew. The crew was a spark away from revolt. Pinzon confronted them during one of these gatherings. "Do you really think I would risk my life for a madman? Stay calm. I am here, and if danger comes, I'll face it with you." His presence kept them from crossing the line, but barely. One morning the ocean transformed. The waves fell away, not slowly, but completely. The surface of the Atlantic turned smooth as glass. A mirror, no movement, no ripples, no wind. Men stared as if looking at something sacred or cursed. A cabin boy whispered, "The sea, it has died." Another added, "We are trapped between 2 worlds." The silence was crushing. Some men swore they saw faint shapes beneath the smooth water, as if something waited below the reflective surface. The phenomenon lasted for hours, hours too long. When the wind finally returned, the crew exhaled collectively, as if released from a spell. Columbus called his officers into the cramped cabin. The air smelled of damp wood, ink, and worry. Pinzon didn't waste time. "They are breaking stubble. If we don't give them something soon, they will act." De la Cosa added quietly, "This calm, these signs. The men take it as omens." Rodrigo Sanchez, the Crown's inspector, said coldly, "Perhaps we should turn back." Silence. Columbus stared at his map, jaw tight. "If we return now, I die, and so do you. The Crown will say we failed. We will be punished." Then he leaned forward. "We continue. I know land is near." It wasn't conviction, it was necessity. They could not go back. The supplies no longer allowed it. The next morning, 8 sailors confronted Columbus openly. They blocked his path, not with weapons, but with something worse: determination. The spokesman said, "We are sailing toward death. We demand you turn back." Columbus held his ground. "If we turn now, we perish. The winds fight us. The water is limited. The only path is forward." It was the truth, but not enough. Then Pinzon stepped forward. "If anyone tries to force the Admiral's hand, they'll answer to me." The men hesitated and withdrew. But this was no victory. It was only a delay. Mutiny was alive. After endless torment, something shifted. Birds, dozens of them, appeared above the ship, calling loudly as they circled the masts. Then driftwood floated past, fresh branches, green leaves, real signs. The deck erupted in excitement. "Land. We are near." I said this voyage wasn't cursed. Even the officers exchanged hopeful glances. Columbus wrote, "We approached the great reward." For the first time in a long while, men smiled. That night, under a dim moon, someone shouted, "Look! At the western edge of the world, a line, faint, darker than the surrounding water, stretched across the horizon. It didn't move like clouds. It didn't shine like water. It was something, not land, not yet, but not ocean." A whisper moved from sailor to sailor. "There. Something is there." For the first time, hope outweighed fear. The Atlantic was changing. Something waited ahead. Something that would alter the course of history. And the crew, exhausted and fractured, leaned into the wind, ready or not for what was coming.